Right, guys. So I woke up today, sat in bed for like an hour shopping, shopping through Facebook. It looks like I'm gonna have to go to the junkyard to like resupply my single cam short block supply. People that are offering are like hours away, and they're trying to tax because obviously I'm openly looking. So it's raining. It's been like my combination of shit luck. I've let a lot of blocks pass me by. I stopped stockpiling shit because I wasn't moving anything for a while. Then all of a sudden, the last 3 months, it just started booming. So it looks like I'm gonna have to make sure I keep my supply steady. And single cams have, secretly, crept back into being on demand. I just 3 of them in the past month. So I have the single cam right now that I picked up the other night, the one you saw in my trunk. That's gonna get CSS'd. I'm gonna wait a little while before that goes, but that's what that block's gonna have. That's what's gonna happen with that block. I need to go get another one for somebody else, and yeah, that'll be it for right now, I guess. Anyway, so just talk about that because the weather just turned shit on me. I was gonna get up and go to the junkyard today and go start doing work, which is not something I like doing because that's labor that I'm not getting paid for. But weather has been bad, and it's 100% rain today and tomorrow. But I'm probably gonna be on a 4-day weekend because it's my birthday, and supposedly restaurants and shit are starting to open back up on Monday, which is my birthday. So I figured I'd take the day off and go out and do some shit. Anyway, it's kind of like I don't know. I feel like content's been dropping off for me recently. It's just because I've been really fucking busy. So thank you guys for that. But I really haven't had too much to talk about. And I've mentioned a bunch of times that, the channel goes through ups and downs on content because I'm not going to just put out content just for putting it out. So if it seems stagnant every once in a while, it's just because I'm just not really being engaged with any questions that I haven't heard. Nothing has crossed my mind recently. But I woke up, talk about woke up, I was in bed shopping, but also I got an upload notification from Humble. And it was that dyno test shootout for intake manifolds. And so that motivated me to get doing some shit. So I got my RRC pistons the other day. Jesse gets them to me extremely fast. I think 2 days after he asked for the address, I got them. So he priority mails them to me. When I go directly through Nippon Racing instead of going through eBay, it's much faster times. So I've been talking about these a lot. I've been pushing it. I've been trying to push the resurgence on the K20, partially for greed and partially just because of the fact that I think that there's a platform that people are forgetting. It kind of frustrates me sometimes to see, like, oh, I don't want nothing to do with the K20. I want K24. Now, the K24 is still my favorite K series because it's so plentiful. They're so plentiful because you can use the A4 as is, and you don't have to go get a different crankshaft. And it's so the K24 is hands down the best K series to build, just because of the fact that it's so much easier. But it doesn't mean that the K20 should just be forgotten about. It doesn't mean the K20 should be left in the wind. Now, one great advantage for the K20 is for you guys doing swaps in older cars. It's better for ground clearance. Which I even had a guy ask for a K20 not too long ago because of that, because of ground clearance issues. And I was like, oh, well, that's something I didn't really consider, but that is something that you definitely should, especially if you drive around in a slammed car. But so the main point of this video right now is talk about like power expectations from the K20 build. The RRC pistons, I definitely say they work better with the K24. Like, you're gonna get more compression out of the K24 than you are with the K20 setup. The RRC pistons in the K20, even if you go to K20 head, K24 block, you're looking at 12.5-to-1 compression, and if you get a straight K24, it's 13-to-1. Right? Both 12.5-to-1 and 13-to-1 compression are the recipe for 300 wheel horsepower. Now, I've mentioned this a couple of times before on the channel. I talked to Monday. Monday says 300 wheel horsepower, 12.5-to-1. If you want 330 plus, it's 13-to-1. But of course, again, that's also dependent on fuel, bolt-ons, and all that shit. So, and I do believe they said they hit 300 on pump with their head. Of course, they're top of the line, so nothing surprising with them. People are hitting amazing numbers on a stock block with a 4-piston head, and so. But the reason why I'm talking about this now, why Humble plays a part in this, is because they were doing their shootout for the RBC versus SBS ported intake manifold, and so just a basic RBC and a velocity stack, they made 230 with 85 and stock injectors that have been decapped, right? 230 horsepower, E85 stock injectors, decapped injectors on a K20, right? Now, that's I think the stock K20A2 is 11.1 compression. So this is for RRC pistons on the stock on a K20 block isn't a huge compression jump. It's 11.81, but it's significant, right? It's a significant jump, significant. It's not an insignificant jump in power. It's almost a full compression point over. You're almost get to 12, which is where all the great stuff starts to happen. But the whole thing is you know, I got a question again the other day because I'm offering this block, this K20A2 when it's complete. What I'm going to sell it for, I'm asking $1,600. It's a little bit under my normal price, but not a huge amount, but a little bit under my normal price. As far as the engine building goes, normally I like to get the money up front for the rotating assembly and everything, but I went ahead and bought it all ahead of time. The only thing I need to buy is bearings, and the only reason why I haven't bought bearings yet is because I'm deliberately holding myself back from starting this build because of the fact that I've got other work going on and I don't want to get distracted and build something else and take away time from the other engine that needs to be finished first. So now the good thing about this is if you want to finance this block, if you want to make payments on this block, it drastically changes up how much you need to put down. Normally, for a build like this, I would need at least a minimum of $600 so I can buy everything to get you started, with $50 a week at a minimum as weekly payments. So now with this situation, because I already have everything and the block is going to be done in a week or two, I only need $100 down. And that's just $100 just to commit to it. And then you can pay as little as $50 a week to pay this off. And then, of course, it ships upon completion of payment. Definitely not a trust factor issue here, guys. I've got Mario's K24 that I built, I think, 2 months ago. Or 2 months ago, we got that set it away. It's already assembled. It's tucked away nicely on the sides, waiting for him when he's ready post-corona to start making payments again. So guys, I don't mind getting started on a build that I'm not going to get paid for right away, but I figure that if $50, you know, like it takes a minimum of, I have to make at least $30 on something before I'm going to go to the post office or FedEx to ship it out, right? So I figure if I want to make a meaningful drop in the bank account bucket, I need at least $50 a week. So I think $50 is fair enough, especially for those of you guys that are mechanics and know the tool truck. You're looking at a minimum of $40 and $50 a week on payments if you got a big balance. So I think $50 is fair. Again, you don't have to make a $50 payment. You can make more if you want. It's just, you know, I figure it has to be a minimum of $50 to make a real incentive for me to want to do any kind of financing option, right? And I'm sorry if I'm kind of all over the place on it. I guess I'm a little rusty. I'm trying to jam a lot of info in this shit. But so the question of how much horsepower can you expect to see from this? Of course, it's dependent on fuel, and it is also dependent on the bolt-ons that you use. But let's just say with just pistons and rods and bolt-ons on pump, I would expect that you can make around 240. And going to, the reason for this being is Kenny's tuned with his stock K20, so 11.1 compression, and with the ported RBC intake manifold, a stock throttle body, and not top of the line intake, they made 230 something, right? So he said, Alex is saying that with the velocity stack alone, he's expecting 240 on 85 and bolt-ons for a K20A2. Let's talk about stock. So I would imagine with I think as far as the throttle body size go, it really just depends on how much you can port the intake manifold you're using. So as long as you can port out to match. So if you got a 70 millimeter port, or I would say 75 millimeter is the one I would go to. Would be my go-to throttle body joist. But I think throttle body, generally speaking, you can expect like a 3 to 5 horsepower gain. Now, of course, I guess that also depends on how big you're going. Any mod you're doing when it comes to NA, it really also depends on supporting mods. But without any head work on pump, I would imagine that you could make 240 wheel horsepower. If you decide to go the E85 route, 250 something, is something that I wouldn't be surprised to see. And if you were to dig into the head a little bit and do cams, 270 horsepower, I would imagine is possible. You know, depending on how aggressive you go with the cams, because cams are generally speaking like a 15 to 25 horsepower increase, like again depending on how aggressive you go with your cams or whatnot. But the K20 block is plenty capable. Of course, you're gonna make power easier and make more torque with the K24, but it doesn't mean that the K20 is not a viable build, guys. So I'm not gonna say I'm in a rush of K20s going on. I have a K20A3 I just picked up the other day. If it turns out to be healthy, I will do a little man version of this. I will just, you know, I will get pistons and stock rods, or I guess I could even possibly invest in a rod bolt upgrade. As a matter of fact, I think I will. So if you're looking for a cheaper version of this, it's something that's capable of making the same kind of power. Now, with these rods are really lightweight. I didn't put them on a fucking scale and measure them, but they're really light. And of course they're stronger, so they're going to handle a lot more revs, and the rev range will be faster with these. But the K23 rods are small, so they're not very heavy either. But with the rod bolt upgrade, I would say that, you know, 8,000 RPMs to maybe 85 wouldn't be much of an issue. You'll still make the same kind of power, you just won't have the same kind of strength in the rods. So if you do go with aggressive cams, if you're trying to go with more aggressive cams with the little man version of this block, you're not going to be able to rev out as far because the rods just aren't going to handle that kind of shit. But if you're going like around the 8,000 RPM range, the block I'm going to build next should be able to cut it. I want to try and price that block at $1,000. Because this one's going to be 1,600 with aftermarket rods, and it's going to be a better block. So I want to see if I can do $1,000 shipped, maybe a little less. If you're interested in that, hit me up in the DMs, guys, on Instagram and or Facebook. Today, you know, it's been a little bit more of a lazy day for me. Usually the first day of my weekend it's a little bit more of a just relax and recover from the work week. And even when I'm not up and physically doing things, I am always working. Like I said, I spent like an hour this morning trying to source a block. I have a couple leads on some shit. You know, it's a 3-hour drive potentially for all the ones that are being offered right now, but I might do it just because to save me the labor time. I figured that if I go to the junkyard, every time I go to the junkyard, I spend a minimum of 3 to 4 hours there. So I figured that even if I have to drive 3 or so hours to get a block, you know, I'm saving myself on the labor. It's literally just sitting my ass behind the wheel. Gas is cheap right now, and I'm not worried about putting mileage on the car, so I guess I could do that. But regardless of whatever happens, I have to have another single cam block by the end of this weekend because I want to ship by Monday at the latest. So if I don't fucking find one in the next 48 hours, I'm gonna have to go to the junkyard anyway. But at least there, if I go to the junkyard, you know, I can be a little bit more picky and selective, and I'm not gonna risk going to some place and then seeing that it's not something I can use. So anyway, yeah. So K20A3 teardown's coming. I got Alfred's block. I had another setback with that again, but I think the block might finally be complete. Knock on fucking wood. I need to swap out the crank real quick and gapper rings, and then again, still a lot of work this weekend that needs to get done. But slow, you know, it may be slow sometimes, but it's always a steady pace. Everything's always getting worked on. I can't work on the week doing engine shit like I did a month ago because, you know, we're back to the full 10-hour days, so I can't work a 10-hour shift and then come home because you guys gotta imagine that I'm up an hour or two before that shift even starts. So by the time I've got home, I've already spent 12 of my 24-hour day, and I try to maximize myself on sleep just, you know, for health and create insanity reasons. All right, guys, so thanks for watching, and I hope that answers some questions for y'all, and hope to see y'all again sometime soon. Hope to have some more shit to throw out here, and I think I'm going to do the SI review. What I was waiting on was I was waiting for the Best Buy and shit to open back up to public so I can go out and get it. Yes, I know I can order on Amazon or whatever, but I'm not even 100% guaranteed, solid that I'm going to be driving to do this review for this car. I might just do a walk around and sit down in the car. It really doesn't require me to be driving the damn thing. I'm not a car reviewer. This is just This is just a Honda guy's take on the car based off of things that I've driven before and, you know, power-wise and everything. I've never driven, I wouldn't say I've driven a super car, but I've driven, you know, Hondas of 400+ horsepower, so decent insight on the car. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Social media links are in the description down below, and peace.